Welcome to Progressive Independence. I'm Michael Wilk in Cleveland with some news about the feud between Jimmy Dore and the Young Turks that the Young Turks started, actually way back last year during the Force a Vote debate, where the Young Turks, who had long ago taken corporate money from DNC and RNC donors, including Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's big into the DNC and Clinton donor, and also, some groups that take money from Republicans to go to Republican candidates, and a lot of establishment news media sit on the board of the Young Turks. So anyway, lately the Young Turks have been taking to smearing journalist Aaron Mate for his reporting on the Syrian OPCW weapons scandal, in which it was revealed that the supposed gas attack carried out by the Syrian government against Syrian rebels was apparently fabricated. There's no evidence to support that the Syrian government ever gassed anyone. Evidence does suggest that the rebels, which are Al-Qaeda affiliates funded by the United States, by Israel, by Saudi Arabia, were in fact staging the attack using the corpses of their victims to try and make it look as though the government of Assad had carried out this heinous and evil act. So the Young Turks, after taking money from this, fully went into the CIA NSA narrative and began pushing that. And Aaron Mate pretty much showed them up for the craven liars that they are. So Chunk Yogurt went ahead on his YouTube channel. In fact, here's the tweet where you can see it, basically trying to both sides the war between, actually the war on Gaza by Israel. And you can see it right here in the screen capture. But then, of course, Chunk Yogurt and Anal Kasparian, otherwise known as Anna Kasparian, went on this profanity-laden tirade accusing Aaron Mate of being on the payroll of the Assad government and Russia. And of course, Jimmy Dore, never one to let a lie go unchallenged, got into it and pretty much destroyed them. And the Young Turks basically tried to retaliate by smearing Jimmy Dore as a sex pest and a sexual harasser. So Jimmy Dore went ahead and posted a private message that Anna Kasparian had sent him on Twitter, threatening to blackmail him by going public with an incident from several years ago if he didn't shut up. And the incident had to do with Anna Kasparian wearing, inappropriate attire to work and bending over in front of her students and exposing herself, which is a classic case of sexual harassment. She was the boss and, the students were under her and they had no choice but to put up with this. And Jimmy Dore apparently said, "Hey, Anna, nice new skirt," and, humiliated her. So apparently this feud took off. Several YouTubers took the side of the Young Turks because they get their bread and butter from the Young Turks, including David Dole and Mike Figueroa, and pretty much destroyed their own credibility by doing this. So in order to retaliate, they tried blackmailing Jimmy Dore. So Jimmy Dore basically called them out first by not only exposing Anna's attempt to blackmail him with a fabricated accusation of sexual harassment, but he also went ahead and showed video clips of the Young Turks engaging in disgusting and questionable sexually charged behavior on air and behind camera, because it seems that the Young Turks failed to pull the videos and make them private in time enough to grab the videos. So you've got footage of Chunk Yogurt and Anal Scheißkopfian, shithead in German if you're not familiar with that, basically body shaming Britney Spears, who was recently in the news trying to gain her freedom from her father. But they were showing photos of her exposed vagina, because there was apparently a photo where the paparazzi took a crotch shot and she wasn't wearing any underwear apparently. So they went ahead and put this up on screen and ridiculed her. And, Chunk Yogurt was like, yeah, I wouldn't even do her. It's like, yeah, oh my God, dude. And they also showed video clips of, Guess the Camel Toe on the Young Turks, where they showed images of women's camel toes, and you try and guess, who it is. And then there was also another video clip where one of their behind the camera technicians was put on the spot by Cenk and Anna. Apparently she had gotten an offer from Playboy to pose for their magazine. She turned it down, and Cenk was like, oh, you should totally take that and offer. And, I would have done it purely for the money. And it's like, and, really putting her on the spot and making her uncomfortable. So, these are serial sexual harassers, and, they're trying to accuse Jimmy Dore of sexual harassment. So, he called them out epically, completely destroyed their credibility, blew them out of the water. So, they're pretty much finished in progressive media because, you're not independent if you're taking money from the establishment, and you're not progressive if you're parroting extreme right-wing talk to support United States imperial overthrows of other governments. So, yeah, you pretty much exposed yourselves in more ways than one, Young Turks. So, anyway, David Dole and Mike Figueroa pretty much showed their own asses, figuratively speaking, by supporting the Young Turks. Mike Figueroa was attacking Jimmy Dore for having on Boogaloo Boy, who turned out not to be racist or all that bigoted, if any. But then he get caught trying to bring on a former Nazi who's actually not all that former onto his show, and then having to retract that invitation after he got called out for it. David Dole, of course, showing what a hypocrite he is. And then, of all people, Kyle Kulinski decided to wade into it after Jimmy Dore was like calling him and Crystal Ball from Breaking Points recently of The Rising on the Hill YouTube channel for not really getting into this and defending Jimmy, and for not really covering the OCPW scandal. Although, to be fair to Kyle, in his Unhinged live-felt rant the other day, I have seen video where Kyle has been critical of the efforts to overthrow the Assad regime. So, I'm sure if Jimmy were to see this, he would retract it and apologize and, correct himself, because that's what he does. He's an honest guy. Kyle, on the other hand, is not so honest, as you'll see in this video clip.
But then there was another escalation. And the escalation came when this happened.
And I'll tell you this story. The story about that was followed by an apology card you wrote me for degrading harassment. Anna Kasparian used to dress, when I worked there, unbelievably inappropriately for a newsroom. She looked like she was going to a rave. The skirt, one time she came into the newsroom with a skirt so short. It wasn't a pencil skirt. It was like a fluffy one too, but so short that she bent over in front of me, and I literally saw her ass and her thong. She's wearing a thong. I literally saw it. And everybody saw it. And I go, hey, Anna, nice news skirt. And everybody laughed. Like, they laughed louder than I thought they would. And so it humiliated her. She got humiliated in the middle of the newsroom, and I did it, and I felt bad. At that time, we were friendly, and I was just busting her balls, right, for dressing like that in a newsroom. You're going to bend over and show me your ass? I think that's a little, I'm not offended, but I think that's a little risque. Imagine if I did that, if I walked around showing my ass to everybody. So when I did that too, she got really mad. She got humiliated. Her face turned red. She tried to insult me back, and it just fell flat. And she looked, bad. And I felt bad for her. I didn't fight. I didn't want to make her feel that, but I just wanted to make a little joke. And all I said was, "Hey, Anna, nice news skirt," and everybody in the newsroom, because everybody saw how inappropriate she dresses. She used to dress. And everybody saw it. And so that's why it got such a huge laugh, and she was so humiliated. So I felt bad for her. So the next day I wrote her a card saying, hey, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. That was inappropriate. You don't have to worry about that happening again. I won't comment on your clothes anymore. I should have said no matter how fucking ridiculous.
You mean you'll stop commenting on her thong?
On her thong that I could see. So let's bring in Max. Now, Max, where would you like to take the conversation?
Yeah, this isn't really where I thought the conversation was going to go. I don't have the same history with these people. So I have no problem with Anna Kasparian's style of dress.
Let's talk to
we don't have a dress code at the Gray Zone. People can show up however they want.
My reaction as I was listening to that live, and by the way, I was with Crystal when it happened, we started cringing more and more the more Jimmy talked. And ultimately, my reaction was exactly like Max Blumenthal's. In that moment, we are all Max Blumenthal. And understand something, guys. My issue is actually not with the original incident that Jimmy's talking about there. Now, to be fair, Jimmy says, hey, it was a bad joke. Anna says, it wasn't a bad joke. It was Jimmy commenting on me in a sexual way in front of my students. Her students were in the room at the time. Now, I wasn't there. I'll never know exactly what happened. I don't think Jimmy's a sex pest. I don't think he's a criminal. I don't think this is a hashtag Me Too thing. But my issue with the thing we just saw is what he just said right there. Oh, she dresses inappropriate. Inappropriate? Who the fuck are you to determine what isn't appropriate for her? Are you a fundamentalist Christian? I mean, that's like some hardcore Republican thing to say. And if I'm being objective about this, even though Jimmy's my friend, if somebody spoke about my mom or my sister or my girlfriend like that, it would take every fiber of my being to not want to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, so there are several problems with this rant. Okay, first of all, Kyle, you're deliberately omitting footage from the video clip from the Jimmy Dore show where you are basically leaving out the part where Jimmy is pointing out how Anna is trying to blackmail Jimmy with this trumped up story of sexual harassment that never took place. And even Kyle admits that he thinks it's bullshit. So the next clip, he plays the reaction of Max Blumenthal, who was a guest on Jimmy's show when he went into this, and selectively edited the video to only show the first part of his reaction, but then does not show the next part of his reaction. So here's the full clip, and you be the judge.
Max, where would you like to take the conversation?
Yeah, this isn't really where I thought the conversation was going to go. I don't have the same history with these people. So I have no problem with Anna Kasparian's style of dress.
Let's talk to
we don't have a dress code at the Gray Zone. People can show up however they want. I do have a problem with this campaign of McCarthyite lies. And honestly, I'm even hesitant to get in the gutter with these people. I mean, looking at her tweets today, and they also, they're directed at me, and everyone's a Russian agent.
Everybody's a Russian.
It really is like a trashy suburbanite version of the Steele dossier. It's like just so gutter level and so base level. And what basically happened here is so juvenile. Basically, she and Cenk got caught trashing Aaron in not just a McCarthyite way, but a slanderous, false way. The same way so many people have been slandered for the last 4 or 5 years since Russiagate became this mainstream phenomenon. And anyone who went against the official narrative or anyone affiliated with Trump was colluding with Russia, and this all became acceptable. She got caught. Aaron wasn't supposed to see that. And basically, I saw some tweet by someone who is actually, trying to hype it up, like, based Anna Kasparian. And Aaron saw it, so he called them out. He responded, as it was his right to do. And now it's ballooned into this. For her, it just seems like a desperate attempt to defend her reputation.
now that you've seen the full clip, and I've got the videos in question linked to in the description below and up here in the corner, so you can watch at your leisure. But, this was very dishonest of Kyle, because he knows better than to try and lie about Jimmy Dore in his attempt to both sides it. I mean, to be fair, he is criticizing the Young Turks for their actions. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's right to do that, but he's completely wrong and dishonest in attacking Jimmy Dore, because Jimmy Dore was not, behaving inappropriately. First of all, Kyle's being hypocritical because he's saying, if Jimmy were to call out, my mother, my sister, my girlfriend, or whomever like that, it would take, every bit of effort on my part not to kick his ass. But here's the thing. One, again, you're selectively editing Max Blumenthal's reaction. And as I've just showed, Max was pretty much agreeing with Jimmy, with regards to, what Anna Kasparian was trying to do and how pathetic it is. But then here's a screen capture from Twitter from back in 2013, I think it is, where Kyle is talking about Anna Kasparian masturbating and how views would go up if she did that. While if Chunk Yogurt were masturbating, he would get like maybe 12 views, and if Anna were doing it, she would get like 6,000. I mean, you can see for yourself, right? Right on the screen, Kyle doing that. So he's hardly an angel when it comes to defending, the right of a woman to dress inappropriately in an office setting. I mean, which brings me to another reason why this is so hypocritical, because, I don't know Kyle's work history, all right? I don't know, if he's actually worked in a professional office setting before with coworkers, or if he's only ever worked out of his private studio. But, I've worked in, a number of industries. I've been in retail, I've been in food service, I've been in nonprofit, and if a coworker were to come in, even, and especially if it's, someone higher up the ladder, were to come in dressed in revealing clothing and exposed herself or himself to, a bunch of underlings, and they have no say in it because, they could lose their jobs if they say anything. If someone were to do that, that person would get in a lot of trouble, because that person would be dressed inappropriately for a workplace setting. And, regardless of what your feelings are, Kyle, the fact of the matter is office settings, professional office or work settings have dress codes. And if you expect to cry foul when it comes to Jimmy Dore pointing out that Anna Kasparian was dressed inappropriately, well, first of all, it helps if you understand that, in a workplace setting, Anna Kasparian was the one actually committing sexual harassment, and Jimmy Dore called her out on it. And if you don't like that, tough. That's just the way the world works. If you dress inappropriately in a workplace setting and you sexually harass people by exposing yourself, I mean, John Barrowman, a Scottish-born actor, most famous for playing Captain Jack Harkness on Doctor Who, is in trouble these days because of behavior that he engaged in on the set of Doctor Who and I think Torchwood, where he actually, exposed his genitalia to cast and crew, ostensibly, as a joke or to lighten the mood, I guess, and, he was formally reprimanded at one point and told to scale it back or put a stop to it. He's in trouble now for that behavior. If he were, here in the United States, he would be getting Me Too'd because of that inappropriate behavior. And it's no different from Anna Kasparian, bending over and showing her thonged rear end, where you could probably, see more of her than you probably care to. It's absolutely no different. So how are you going to dunk on Jimmy Dore for having made a lame joke at her expense for exposing herself in front of coworkers, for dressing inappropriately, and said, oh, she wasn't dressed inappropriately? Yes, she was. And she was. I mean, come on, dude. You know better than this. And so you're attacking Jimmy Dore on the wrong things for the wrong reasons and deliberately lying about it which earns you no points from me because I detest liars, okay? I mean, if you lie to me, you're insulting my intelligence. And Kyle, you fucking insulted my intelligence and the intelligence of every single one of your viewers. And you had no need to. I mean, you claim you want to stay out of this debate between the Young Turks and Jimmy Dore and Aaron Matei on their side, and say that they're all your friends and you don't want to get involved, but you got yourself involved by coming down on Jimmy Dore, knowing that he did nothing wrong and knowing that the Young Turks were in the wrong completely, and you also had the balls to call out the Young Turks for being deliberately dishonest about Syria and their hardline imperial stances, but then you give them the benefit of the doubt, saying that you think they believe what they're saying. No, they don't believe what they're saying, and you know they don't believe what they're saying. How do I know this? They lied. And what is the definition of a lie? When you knowingly give false information with the specific intention of deceiving. If you have a specific intent to deceive people, by definition of a lying, you do not believe what you're saying. So, not only did you lie about Jimmy Dore, you lied about the Young Turks believing what they're saying because you know for a fact they don't believe what they're saying. And you've been saying, even though the Young Turks took money from the establishment that they're pretending to fight, that somehow means that they're not taking the side of the establishment when they changed their tune. I mean, going from opposing action in Syria to advocating bombing Syria to, parroting CIA lies about chemical weapons attack, even though there's no evidence to support it. And the whistleblowers, who've done years of work to debunk this. And Aaron Matei has done loads of work to go to Syria and try and get the facts, from the scene of the crime. And they're piling on him from the Young Turks studio and lying about him and making shit up and selectively editing video accusing him of calling Assad a hero, when what he actually said was to Syrians who've just lived through a civil war and the only alternative to Assad is a brutal terrorist group, Al-Qaeda, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by the United States, backed by Israel, trying to overthrow the Assad government and put them under a brutal religious theocracy. Yeah, naturally, they're going to see their own government as the hero, saving them from a fate worse than death, because that's what he is to them. And Aaron Matei pointed that out. And then they go ahead over at the Young Turks and they use a selectively edited video from Bellingcat to go ahead and make it look like he's calling Assad a hero. And it's a complete lie. And you know it's a complete lie because you pointed it out. And then you go ahead and commit the same bullshit lie by using selectively edited video from Max Blumenthal's reaction to Jimmy Dore describing, Anna Kasparian's attempt to blackmail him. So, I don't know what the fuck your major malfunction is, boy, but grow the fuck up. Seriously, grow the fuck up. I don't know how old you are. I mean, I think you're younger than I am, despite the gray hair, because some people get gray hair early. It happens. I'm pushing 50 myself. I just turned 47 back in May. And, I'm fortunate that I don't have a whole lot of gray hairs. If I spot one, I pluck it out or whatever. But my hair is still pretty dark, and I'm fortunate I look younger than I am. But, supposedly you're an adult, but you act like a child by trying to deceive your own viewers, ripping into Jimmy Dore for no good reason, just because, he asked you to comment on something, and instead of commenting and, calling out the Young Turks for their lies, you go ahead and try and act like it's some kind of like schoolyard fight that you don't want to get in the middle of, and fine distancing yourself and saying you're done with the Young Turks. That's great, but how can you sit there in your studio and knowingly lie to your audience and rip on Jimmy Dore, trying to give him equal blame for this when you know for a fact he's not at fault? Grow up. Grow up, child. You are a child lying about someone because you don't want to, dip your toe in the water and take sides. But you already dipped your toe in the water and took sides by coming down hard on Jimmy Dore and supporting the lies that the Young Turks are levying at him. So I don't know. This whole thing is ridiculous. I wanted to do a follow-up on my COVID video from last time, and I have to take time out to address this because I can't believe how many supposedly progressive channels I've had to unfollow and unsubscribe from because they decided they would rather join up with the extreme right and bash on people on the left, even as they take on, guests who have a history of racism, homophobia, transphobia, you name it, and who have a history of sexual harassment because, you want to take shots and punch down because you want to defend politicians for a fact are lying and corrupt and going back on promises that made to get Medicare for all, to get a Green New Deal. I mean, the planet is literally burning to death, and humanity along with it. We've got, maybe 10, 20 years before the whole species goes extinct from climate change, unless we act now to not only end fossil fuel emissions and nuclear energy, but also engage in aggressive carbon and methane capture. And you're sitting here, propping up these sellout politicians and establishment thugs who do nothing but screw us over and hand more control to corporations while cracking down on dissenters and labeling us, violent extremists if we oppose capitalism or if we dare criticize the government. I mean, what the hell is your major malfunction, children? Oh my God. In the comments below. I want to hear from you.